Donald Trump may have been a co-conspirator to commit murder of a newborn baby. So you've got the Trump administration in complete and utter panic mode right now. You have actual billionaires trying to flee the country on their private Lear jets right now. You have the trolls of the internet from MAGA universe going absolutely insane right now and deep into their psychological denials of what is coming out from the Epstein files. And I, for one, am loving it, not because of the things that are coming out are absolutely disgusting and horrible, but because we have been saying this. And when I say we, I'm not talking about the left, because we're talking about America. Left, right, and center have been saying that there is something up with the Epstein files. Donald Trump campaigned on releasing them, and he stall tacticked every which way but Sunday to try and stop this from coming out, calling it a Democrat hoax, calling it all kinds of conspiracies, and then outright lying and saying things like he was never even on Epstein's plane and never visited his stupid little island. Well, we've got evidence now. Not only is he lying, but Donald Trump could literally be charged with murder. Because remember, there is no statute of limitations on murder. There's statute of limitations on rape. There's statute of limitations on child molestation in some states, but not on murder. And Donald Trump may have been a co-conspirator to commit murder of a newborn baby. We're going to get into all of it, but right now, the king of MAGAverse trolls is maybe coming to his senses. Maybe he's going to realize that all of this nonsense he's been spewing for Donald Trump is just that. It's all been lies. He's been lied to, and he's perpetuated those lies. Yes, I'm talking about this guy, Osmongold, the troll of trolls.
Users on TikTok realizing they can just copy paste the redacted text to read what it says.
Oh, look at this pesky redaction. Let's just get rid of that.
Did you see his face? Like, he's got to be worried because he makes millions of dollars trolling leftists and promoting the whole MAGAverse nonsense that he has put out there. And it's all going to blow up in his face right now. He this whole time he's been supporting a child molester.
Open in Adobe. All right, now we're going to copy this. We're going to save it. And this is from the government website right here, justice.gov.
And if you guys don't know what this is, so the Justice Department, thanks to Doge, got rid of all of their Adobe licenses. And so if you're going to redact something digitally, you need to do that properly. You can't just put a black mark across it or a highlight mark and then color it black, because all you have to do is copy and paste that into any notebook and you can remove that. And so they didn't do it properly with the Adobe software, which basically deletes the actual information. So now people have figured out a lot of these files haven't been properly redacted, and a lot of this stuff is now becoming fair game.
.gov, one of the moment of truth. We're talking about this is the federal government, and they can't figure out how to put a black bar over some text.
Just for context, this is not all files, but on multiple PDFs, the government, instead of redacting the information using the Adobe function, they highlighted the text with the black marker.
Check page 41. Okay. I'm not suicidal. Defendants also attempted to conceal their criminal sex trafficking and abuse conduct by paying large sums of money to participant witnesses, including by paying for their attorney's fees and their case costs. Epstein also threatened harm to victims and helped release damaging stories about them to damage their credibility when they tried to go public with their stories of being sexually trafficked and abused. Why was that blocked?
Yeah, why would the DOJ block that information? That's a good question, because that has nothing to do with the victims. There's no victims' names there. That's the only reason that they're allowed to redact information, is if it will expose victims in the cases or potential witnesses who may be involved in an investigation.
I don't know. For which Indike Executory Authority acting on his behalf. Payments from this account totaling almost $60,000 were transferred by wire to young women. Why would this be censored? The law didn't say you can make an exception for that. It doesn't make any sense. They're redacting any mention of anyone outside the known circle interacting with Epstein. People want to know who these people are. I think that's exactly what's going on. Indike, an attorney who'd represented Epstein for decades, represents Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and previously represented Donald Trump.
That's a big bombshell right there. So you literally, this is why they're redacting things. Look at who they redacted. They redacted Indike's name. He is an attorney for the President of the United States and the Secretary of Defense, because I'm not going to call it the Secretary of War. This dude is an idiot.
Trump. So let me get this straight. The guy who was found to be wiring money, supposedly hush money, to these young girls never got indicted. He left his job. He got hired by the group that represents both the current defense secretary and Donald Trump. The files that were released now just came out with his name selectively redacted from them.
Yeah, Osmongold, the same guy that all of us have been screaming at you about, that is a pedophile, is hiring people who he knew was under investigation for being a pedophile. How does that make you feel? But this is nothing compared to what else has come out today, guys. We're going to get into it here in a second.
Somebody got caught with their hand in a cookie jar. The latest Epstein file drops are bombshell. Epstein personally negotiated contracts for Southern Air Transport, the CIA, Iran's Contra-Dun running airline, and relocated its ops from Miami to a Columbus, Ohio military base to service his companies. The link straight... What the fuck? Bro, this guy, how is this guy able to do all this stuff? If he wasn't such a fucking creep, I'd be impressed. Knows every president, and they come to his house and they have a picture of the former president Bill Clinton in a dress. There's another photo. He's running CIA deals between Iran, the United States, Israel, and then he's funneling it to his own companies. Yeah, it's like he was the main character. Well, he was the main villain, okay? Part of Doge changes, canceled all of the Adobe user licenses, can't properly redact without Adobe Pro. Elon was the whistleblower all along. So are you telling me that the reason why we lose these, we not getting the redactions, is because Elon cut Adobe Pro memberships? Here's what's crazy about it, is that we found this out in like 15 minutes.
Pam Bondi is a moron, and Kash Patel is a moron. That's who they've put in charge of these very important organizations in the United States. Very powerful. But they are so incompetent at their jobs that they didn't even realize that when they put out these heavily redacted files, thinking that nobody would be able to figure out how to unredact them because you're not using Adobe Pro, that now all of this information is coming out. Listen, we have tens of thousands of pages that I guarantee you right now across the world, you probably have 100,000 to 1 million to a couple of million people going through this website and copying and pasting and unredacting this stuff and putting it out there online. You're not hiding anymore, Donald Trump. And because of these unredactions, as well as some of the stuff that they may have accidentally put out there, including a story of a 13-year-old girl back in the early 90s who was being trafficked to Donald Trump. She was pregnant. She gave birth to the baby, and her uncle, who's connected to Epstein, her uncle was trafficking her, unalived or killed the baby in front of Donald Trump and then threw it overboard off of this yacht into Lake Michigan. Meaning that Donald Trump is an accessory to murder. Donald Trump was not president, and the Supreme Court's ruling that you can't convict a president during his term for something he did as president doesn't apply here. Since Lake Michigan, I'm assuming would be probably, depending on where it was at, probably be under the governor of Illinois, a arch rival to Donald Trump's, his jurisdiction. I would be thinking that right now that the state of Illinois should be looking into this matter and putting every asset that you have in the district attorney's office of the state of Illinois to go after Donald Trump for murder, or at least accessory to murder, because him being president ain't going to save him. There's no immunity prior to him becoming the president of the United States, and so he could be in some serious, serious trouble.